What's going on, you guys? AJ Tucker here with AJ Self Defense, and today I want to talk about Karen Civil. She's a marketing expert, digital marketers for the stars. She got a big name when she made a website for Lil Wayne about a decade ago, and she blew up. She's been on BET, she's been in the White House, she's been all sort of places. So that seems to be a good resume, right? But right now, she is embroiled in a nice little dispute online between, let's see here, J Woo, but also Lucas Joyner. And so, J Woo was basically airing her out. And when I say airing her out, that basically means like she's a comedian and she was basically, putting her on blast. Basically putting her on blast. So saying, hey, this is what she did to me. She's stealing from people. This is how she rolls. She's not a good person. And so Karen Civil, she tried to sue him. Hold on one second. Let me get this. So basically, she set up a fake event. She booked her for the event so she can get her information, so she can get her government name and her information and things of that nature. And then she tried to sue her for defamation. But the thing is, this girl's been doing a lot of dirt. Lucas Joyner, he made, he got a couple of bangers out there, a couple of good hits out there. Let's see here. I'm going to read his tweet, and I'll put it up on the screen as well. After you got the money paid up front, you stopped answering my calls, and every time I hit you, you answered the phone with the attitude like I was messing up your day. I sent you hella messages, pleading with you to do your job because my back was against the wall. You took advantage. And so basically, he gave, like, this was in 2014. And, he was trying to come up as a hip hop artist, as a rapper. And the thing is, you got to put a lot of energy. He has his family, he has a kid on the way, and he invested $60,000 in her. And after he gave her the money, he's claiming that she basically did no work. And he was basically saying my back was against the wall. I had a child on the way. And people may think like, hey, why didn't you say anything about that? And let me back up real quick. The reason why I'm talking about this on the self-defense page, why am I doing that? Why am I not talking about poking somebody in the eyes? Why am I talking about why am I not talking about if someone grabs you like this or like that, you can respond with this? Because for me, self-defense goes beyond just physical attacks. It goes to stuff like this. And I was a victim. I was a victim of this. I lost a large amount of money with somebody I trusted. They promised they can do this, they can do that, and they were showing me their resume and all this stuff. And that mess happened a long time ago. And so it was tough. It was confusing and it was weird. So basically, all right, let me go back. I had no idea how the industry works, and I ain't want you to drag my name through the mud. So out of fear, I stayed silent until Mr. Cameron, that's another rapper, spoke up a few years ago on Twitter, and then I did. So basically, he was trying to come up in the music industry, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want to get into a dispute and he didn't want to get blackballed. And it was probably a smart move because most people will say, "Oh man, if somebody took my money, then I would do this and I would do that." After I spoke up, I'm reading him again. You had your peoples hit me directly and you tried to threaten me and then tried to make me write this fake apology and make myself look crazy to the public eye. See the attached below. And he basically, has a text just saying, talking about the messages, that she said. And I'm going to get back to it and why I'm talking about this. Let's see here. So she's coming back and saying, hey, he's making broad statements. I did my job. And he comes back to say, hey, you took my money and went on a big vacation. He called her and she was basically being rude to him. He's like, hey, are you going to, do something? I just gave you all this money. My backup is up against the wall. I got a kid on the way. And she was on vacation and was like, hey, why are you even calling me? Why are you talking to me? She basically robbed him. She robbed him in broad daylight. And this is all alleged. I'm not going to say she did it. There's two sides to the story, but it is really not looking good for her. And I wonder if it's going to be kind of like a Me Too thing where more people are going to come forward and say, yes, she did to me. She did this to me. She did that to me. But the reason why I want to talk about this is because this is a very common occurrence when it comes to people like this. And me personally, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I really hate these type of people that they don't really do much. Maybe at one time they worked really hard, but they don't really do much. They just take from others without giving any value. and they take it in broad daylight in a bold way, and they predators are people who they pick out their prey, they pick out their victims. And one of the things that people think about, when they're a predator is, will this person say anything? Will this person do anything? I don't think this person is going to do anything, so that's my prey right here. And the reason why I highlight this one is because we hear about men doing it all the time. And you might think like, oh, if you're a big guy, if you're a strong guy, if you're a tough guy, then people are not going to try to come up to you. But in this case, it is a woman doing it. I was in one of my classes, and I've been trying to find this stat, but I believe it to be true. I was teaching a self-defense class, and I was going over a portion talking about how women, if a woman approaches you in a public place, you're more likely to trust that person. You're more likely to go along with what they say. You're more likely to try to help a woman in a public place, or if you don't know her, as opposed to a man. And one of my students, she stood up and she was like, yeah, I was doing a study, and we are 7.2 times more likely to trust a woman. And so I go back to this scenario, because when it comes to self-defense, it's not just about protecting your home from a home invasion. For me, it's about straight up security. It can ruin you when somebody takes a lot of money. And she's not just taking his money, she's taking his energy, the amount of energy that he's spending. And basically he was saying that, hey, I was, you probably didn't think I wasn't going to make it. You probably thought I was just not going to say anything. I was just going to go off into the sunset, which he kind of did for a while, but then he actually made it. And so big shout out to him for making it. There's no telling what type of things he had to go through mentally to overcome that, to get a lot of money taken from you when you got a little one on the way. And like I do, man, I really do not I don't like criminals, just overall. But this particular type of criminal, man, one that just holds their hand out and they will boldly take from you. This reminds me of a story. I cannot remember which book. I don't know if it was the 33 Strategies of War or the 48 Laws of Power. I don't remember, because I'm just jumping in and I'm doing this off the cuff. When I see it, I do it. But basically, it was a story of this guy. He was an alchemist. And this was when alchemy was very popular hundreds of years ago. And he would go around with the claim that he can turn money into very valuable gold. And so he would go from city to city, and he had this nice carriage. He had all this money. He had all these expensive clothes. So when you see him, you're like, dang, this guy knows how to make money. This guy must be good at his job, right? And so when he talked to the people, he talked to the government, he would find excuse me, that's the trash man outside, right? When I'm trying to make my stuff, they normally come at 10 in the morning, but of course, when I do a video, they're gonna roll by. And the thing is, I'm complaining about it. You probably don't even hear it right now, but oh well. So when he goes and makes his presentation, he goes to a country that is very desperate for money, that's very desperate for gold. They're trying to do something, and so they want to see the best in them. And so what he did is he wore long sleeves, and he could say, hey, I can turn money into gold. And he had like a tube up his sleeve. And he took the money and he made a display of just pushing gold dust out of that tube. And he showed it to the people, and they believed it. And so they would give him large, like coffers and coffers of money. And he said, okay, I got to let it sit here for a few months, and then it's going to turn into gold, and you guys will be wealthy. But in the meantime, while I'm here, I need you to get me the nicest possible place. He would make all these crazy demands, and people would give it to him, which when they gave him all this crazy stuff, people believed in him more because he had all this wealth. And basically, he just took the money. And so when people started to question him, he would feign anger, and then he would just leave. But he would also take those people's money, and then he would go to the next city and do the same thing. And he kept repeating this thing. And so she reminds me of this. If this is what she's doing, she reminds me of this type of person. She has Lil Wayne on her resume. She has like BET. She's been in the White House. She has this amazing resume, right, that other people cannot compete with. And so she goes to these people who are trying to make it to the top. They want to be the biggest thing smoking out there. And she tells them, like, okay, it's $60,000 up front. And here's a list of things that I'm going to do for you. And they believe it because they're desperate. And that person actually has a legit resume, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this person my money. I've seen it happen with plastic surgery before. I've seen it happen to women. They go to like the biggest star out there in the plastic surgery industry, and whenever they come in to get their stuff done, they do some little half-ass measure. They do some little cheap new method to where they can save the most amount of money, but then they charge the biggest prices, and these people come and they get messed up. I know one lady where she got a nose job, and he did this like different technique, and her nose collapsed. And she had to go back and get it redone. She had to go to a different surgery and get it redone. And so there's scammers like this everywhere. And the reason why I wanted to highlight a woman, because you would think, okay, I'm a woman, I'm in the hip hop industry. You probably think like she would be scared to straight up rob somebody, right? But let's say some of these rappers, they have, they have like a bad background, where they can't really get into any like altercations or anything. They will rob these people in blind daylight, I said blind daylight, in broad daylight. That's what I meant to say. They will rob these people in broad daylight, and there's really nothing they can do about it, man. They just take their money, and then they move on to the next, and then they move on to the next, and then they go on these nice trips, and they have all this money in their pocket. They have all this success from stealing from people, and then they're like, hey, look at my success. You should work with me. And as a predator, they know how to pick out their prey, and they keep repeating. There's people like this all over the place, man. And I'm telling you, I despise hearing about it. I despise, all things, people getting hurt and stuff like that. But this one really, really drives me up the wall. I'm a very calm and relaxed guy, but when it comes to this type of stuff, man, man. And so if she didn't do it, okay, that's one thing, cool, whatever. I'm just reporting what's coming out. But where there's smoke, where there's fire. If she did do it, man, I hope she get her just due. I hope people can get, some reparations for, what she took from them and moving forward. But anyway, that's all I got for today, man. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm almost at 200. This has been a slow grind. This has been a very slow grind for me, but I am here, man. I'm here to AJ Tucker Self-Defense, giving you the tips, giving you the advice, and just trying to talk about a broad scope of different things in the area of self-defense. I'm at 191 right now, and some people celebrate when they get to 100,000 or a million. When I get to 200, I'm gonna celebrate. When I get to 300, I'm gonna do it again, and then 1,000 is right around the corner. But anyway, that's all I got, man. I'll see you on the next one.